Devin, how we doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Excited to have you on, man. So you're the co-founder of Valantis, which is a hyper efficient DEX leveraging the concept of embedded liquidity to provide traders with the best pricing and LPs with the best risk adjusted yield. So
Definitely a mouthful, but yeah.
Yeah,
I love it's such a consistent theme with like DeFi projects we bring on here. I read something I've ripped off their site, and they're like, "Wow, okay."
I can't believe you wrote that.
What does that mean?
But you say in your docs that Valantis is a fundamentally new approach to the question of what is a DEX. So I guess my first question is, what is a DEX?
Yeah. Really, I've like changed my answer to this question several times over the last 3 years. But what Valantis is it's just like a DeFi Lego block that can allow people to exchange one spot asset for another spot asset. So yeah, I think like my kind of like mental reframing of like DEXs in general are like they're just like yield vaults, and they have a bunch of different reserve types, and people can pay to have LPs trade from like one reserve type to another. Yeah, I guess that's a very like philosophical answer to like what is an AMM, what is a DEX, but it's definitely much more than concentrated liquidity and like bonding curve based designs. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff you could do with it, and we like to build a lot of asset specific kind of solutions on top.
I'm curious, why is it important for you to make that distinction?
Distinction between
sort of the way that you're describing a DEX and maybe the sort of general way that people represent DEXs.
Yeah, I would say that like, well, one thing that we're doing right now, I would say like if you go to like the traditional like way of thinking about AMMs, if we told someone that we're taking a portion of the reserves and we're locking it in an LST withdrawal queue to rebalance it, they would probably tell us that's either not an AMM or that's just like not something you can do safely. I think just the way that most DEXs think about pricing is just like very blind, deaf, and dumb to the outside world. It's just like I have more of one asset, less of one asset, shift my price on this bonding curve. My argument is that not all assets are the same, and there are some assets that you can make more like strategic decisions about how you market make with them. And LSTs are a really good example of that because you know that you can redeem it, so you don't need to be as inflexible and restricted. And yeah, I think it's just like lifting the mental barrier of just being so restricted on what a DEX needs to be.
I mean, can you maybe put a finer point on how like the end user experience would change, maybe trading in LST on a one size fits all DEX versus something purpose built for LSTs using Valantis?
Sure. I mean, like one just like straight up answer is over the last like 30 days, one of our pools, like a concentrated liquidity pool for stake type and hype has been printing about like 0.7 APY. We've been printing like 10 over the last 30 days. So I would say like from the end user, like deposit and make more money. One of the big things, and like I often think about like what do I think about when I interact with DeFi and I don't want to do. The one thing that I really care about the most is like I don't like go down in money whatsoever. And the idea of like AMM selling LSTs at a loss always kind of bothered me. I was always just kind of felt like, yeah, like there might be some world where like I just kind of end up getting shafted. So just kind of depositing in something that's just like our pool has like a hard invariant. It's like you will never sell your assets below their true value. If you could go to the redemption queue and get your full value back, even if it's going to take 7 days, like that's the way you'll get it back. And we've been just cranking efficiencies to like make it faster, make APY higher. So it kind of gives me a little bit like soundness of mind, just like deposit and chill.
I like it. So you guys decided to build this on Hyperliquid, I believe. I'm curious, is that just a long-term bet on the platform, or is there something specific that infrastructure unlocks for you?
Yeah, it's actually it's a very specific bet on Hyperliquid LSTs. This was like a thesis that we formed a while ago. That one, I think there's two main parts to it. One is like hype itself is probably the most interesting asset that we've seen in crypto. It's holder base, the revenue generation behind it, and just kind of like the perfect storm of it being something that people want to hold. They want to earn more yield on. They don't want to risk it like losing their stack, but they just want to have hype, earn more hype pretty much. So we figured that like LP profile just seemed like the perfect storm for something like this. And then on top of that, I think like, honestly, like I'm getting reluctant to consider like to keep calling them liquid staking tokens because they're not just tokenizing staking yield. LSTs on Hyperliquid are tokenizing everything that you can do with stake type, with staking hype, which is you can get trading discounts on the platform by staking. Pretty soon, if you have 1 million stake, you can launch perps markets, which is like a giant undertaking. And yeah, being able to like earn these staking emissions on an asset that is just like so interesting. And in the future, when the clients are open sourced, validators are also building like block builders as well. And that's just kind of MEV on the most interesting on-chain exchange that we've ever seen and most high volume exchange that we have. I think that's just like the perfect storm of, you combine all these things together, it's like you're tokenizing the hype sink, the like sink of liquidity that the Hyperliquid team is like engineering, which is much more than just staking yield.
So you guys acquired the stake type protocol a few weeks ago. Can you tell us about the decision to do that and what it brings to the Valantis vision?
Yeah. So we've been working with the team behind stake type prior, which was Thunderhead, for a very long time. They kind of were pioneers in the LST design space on Hyperliquid, kind of leading way to a lot of the precompiles that you see, core writer actions that you see now that allow staking to happen natively on Hyperliquid. Yeah, we have spent a really long time with them discussing over the last 6 months about what could be done to build vertically integrated liquidity for DeFi protocols. And there was a lot that we did on our end. Basically, what happened is we vertically integrated our stack on top of the stake type protocol. And that made efficiency, like liquidity, much more efficient, APY a lot higher, liquidity a lot deeper. But we always knew that there were things that could go the other way. Like stake type could make some special logic and considerations that would make its DeFi integrations much more efficient. And we've spoken about this extensively. And eventually it came to a conversation of bringing stake type protocol under the wheelhouse of the Valantis team was the best way to like see this fully vertically integrated vision through. Furthermore, I think with like this kind of accelerates when you think about the idea of a DEX and then the interplay of things like HIP3 for like being able to launch perps exchanges. All of these pieces kind of like come together, and it was mostly a decision of like, if we really did take a step to be able to do something fully vertically integrated, we're going to end up at a state that nobody has ever ended up before. So definitely really, really excited to be executing on that.
So we don't really see a lot of acquisitions in crypto. So I'm curious about that process. How did it come to be? What were the negotiations like? How did you end up actually inking that deal?
Yeah, we're definitely like very, very close with the Thunderhead team because we've been working with them for so long. I would say this wouldn't have happened without a huge amount of trust. I'm sure that a lot of teams in crypto have gotten offers before, and especially when you have a protocol that you care about. I think the one thing that you know is like, no matter what, like if you start a project and you sell it, especially in crypto, like no matter what, your reputation is attached to that forever. If somebody takes it and it ends up failing, you're not going to feel great about that, and people are probably going to tell you not to feel great about that as well. I know that the Thunderhead team, this was probably their primary consideration, was the fact that they knew that the protocol was going to run better if it did have the chance to fully vertically integrate. So I think that decision comes from giving leeway for this acquisition was like a chance for stake type to become something net new, rather than it just a normal healthy LST protocol. It has a chance to like basically kind of revolutionize the space of like vertically integrated DeFi.
How important is having like the leading liquid staking token to, I guess, the ultimate success of Valantis? I was just looking at DeFi Llama, and I think like Kinetic has maybe like 10x the TVL of you guys today. So curious, like how strategically important it is to close that gap, and maybe what you need to go do to do that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. As someone who's been sitting on the side of running a DEX both for both teams, that's also been a major lender on the chain. watching what Kinetic did over the last 2 months is like absolutely insane. Every single piece of hype liquidity on the chain moved into their protocol, and the integration that they had. Definitely like huge props to the team on that. And continuously over this process, there was a lot of liquidity sucked out of stake type itself. And I think this like makes a ton of sense. They've built a really strong basis for like what I would consider like a strong, pretty standardized like liquid staking protocol. But that is a really important tool to have. I think our position is mostly exploring outside of what just tokenizing staking emissions means, and building in a more kind of like robust yield set into stake type itself. And at the end of the day, like our opinion is the only thing that matters for an LST is its liquidity, and we know how to engineer deep liquidity. I would say over time, we have a lot of confidence that we're going to be able to pull a lot of rabbits out of hats to make the liquidity something that just cannot be mirrored on anything that's not vertically integrated like this. I would say on the long run, we're definitely very certain that there are some types of integrations that we are going to be able to get, and liquidity sinks we're going to be able to get purely because of our flexibility and like vertical integration. I'm not sure how things will play out in the long term. I also do believe that Hyperliquid itself is going to grow to a massive extent. So I don't believe in a winner takes all kind of scenario necessarily.
Awesome, Devin. I think we have to leave it there. Thanks for hopping on and sharing. I mean, I think we talk a lot about vertical integration and the sort of opportunity and power, I guess, in the market that comes from that. And so obviously these can be a bit longer term bets, but excited to see you making the moves, and we'll be watching closely.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It's great.
Thanks, man. Peace.
See ya.